Gotcha. So
those are
the move d5, which I mentioned earlier, is actually not very helpful for black after all.
it depends because like at the right moment it could be. But if you do it after like f4 has already been played, then they will just lock it with e5, and
Okay.
it seems like a favorable closure of the center for white.
True.
So yeah, those are the main plans, and they're basically always going to be followed in this type of Sicilian. They're very common, and also could be figured out at the board even if you didn't know the theory. But so far, all of this is theory. So white plays f4. You're threatening to play e5. So then the knight will be a bit stuck. So that's why black is going to defend it with this move. White played king to h1, so that's just a prophylactic move, because after you've played f4, maybe some of these diagonals around the king have been weakened, so this is just a good move to wait around, and it's a useful move to make in general. Now here, the main line for black nowadays is to play knight takes to d4 and b5. So with the ideas of developing the bishop, playing b4, and just taking the center like that, maybe even e5 at some point. So that's how black normally plays this, and then it just becomes a longer game where both sides pursue their own plans. But in this game, black didn't trade and played knight to a5. So maybe that was the main line back then. By the way, the black's her opponent is Alexander Chernin. So he was a grandmaster, so still like a strong player, but I think theory was maybe different back then. So he played this move, still the second or the third best line. It will soon get tactical, so I'll ask you once it gets a bit more towards the tactics side.
Yeah, but this is still, I mean, nonetheless, although I you know how much I like the tactics, but this is still very, very interesting to just follow how the plans are going, how the tactics, the strategies, I mean, all of that. That's very, very interesting always. Because
yeah,
I just
the Sicilian is one of these. Thank you. The Sicilian is just one of these openings that combines both of these. Like, there's a lot of planning and then there's a lot of tactics too. It's one of the most complex middle games that we get, so it's always fun to explore them. So here, white decided to keep the bishop pair. They could have captured like this and then kept going with their attack, but it's also a good choice to just keep your bishops, although it looks a bit passive to come back, but you needed to do that to defend the b2 pawn. So far, black follows the exact plans that we talked about, and white just defended against the b4 threat. So every move, they're all logical, they're all prophylactic, defending against, that's how these middle games often go, is that everything needs to be defended before you launch an attack, so that it's safe and that it's defended. So soon we'll get to the tactics. So far, black still needed to complete the development. And then the bishop went to f3. That's a very common way to defend this e4 pawn. I said it might be a weakness. And also sometimes in these middle games, this queen goes to a8 to put even more pressure on that pawn. So not exactly here because it's right now too far. But so far we just passed through the moves quickly, but it was a good demonstration of how much harmony there is in this piece development, where all of white's pieces are defending each other, all working together, and all preparing for the attack as well. And now the tactics are going to start, because black made their first mistake and played rook f to d8.
That this is a mistake is already mysterious. Wow.
Right, it looks like a really normal move, but after this, Sophia started a really, really good attack. So would you do as white? Try to guess her move.
Well, of course, first thing which captures my eye, and in a bullet game I would probably just play it, would be taking on e6, which looks like it's a bit too quick. Maybe I have to follow up on this differently, but taking on e6, taking back, queen going to h3, and then trying to give more pressure on Oh, and there's even more stuff. So yeah, when we're pushing forward the pawn on e5, we're also opening our bishop. So maybe we can try to get the queen away with a interesting move, so that the knight is there too. Oh, there's so many things. My goodness. So first, oh my gosh, no, I actually, okay, I'm overwhelmed. I do not know. I would have to calculate it a bit too much, I think. There's a lot of things going on, actually. So, but, and then I also have to think about, sorry for my monologue, but I also have to think about why was the rook going to d8 a mistake, because that already gives a little hint. What should have been played instead? Or maybe some...
Actually, it's not even about what black did. It's mostly about like white's pieces just being
Oh.
really strong and harmonized. So if black made any waiting move, it would have worked. But rook here was a bit better to protect the bishop.
Okay.
Actually, no, it would be much better to protect the bishop that way.
Oh, and now I see another thing. My goodness, that is beautiful. So, of course, I think I might have it. So let's see, because that was the final hint, I guess. What about knight to d5, knight to f5, and opening this beautiful bishop on b2 to threaten checkmate and just win a piece?
Yeah, you got it. So knight to d5. This is a really this works really well here, and it's an important sacrifice to know in the Sicilian. We need to always watch out for these. They can appear a lot, and they're often missed by both sides because you're just putting a piece under attack. But if you ever do have these knights placed this way, it's a really good tactic to watch out for and to weaken your opponent's squares a bit and to start an attack.
Yeah, now I see everything unfold here slowly but surely. Yeah, this is massive. I remember we had this move, this knight to d5 move, at least once or twice in some of our other lessons. So
yeah,
for all of you watchers,
it's always an idea in the Sicilian and all different types of Sicilians.
Exactly.
It's a very common place for the knight. It's a really good sacrifice. So usually the idea of this, so let's say black took with the pawn. So in the game, they took back with the knight. So we'll look at that. But let's say they take with the pawn. So usually the idea of this knight sacrifice is to get your knight to f5. That's the most common reason why you would sacrifice this knight. Here, we're also really grateful for this bishop to also be there, which just opens up so many more new attacks. So normally this tactic can even work without that bishop, but with the bishop is just winning and amplified by a lot.
I see nothing for black. Black has to go back to f8, I guess, with the bishop.
And then we're going to take on f6, or they even do more. So we're win back the piece at the very least. So that's why the pawn cannot take. And if the pawn cannot take, then we're not even really sacrificing it that much. So if the bishop takes, we would take back like this. So once again, putting pressure on this e6, always looking at the f5 square. So also just a really, really good position for white. But instead, knight to d5 was played. So what's the idea now?
Well, we can still try to put our knight on the best possible spot now, because still g7 is under heavy attack after that. And my guess is, we just follow up with knight f5. Knight
f5 would also work. And there's also other ways to get a huge initiative. So Sophia chose something else, but knight f5 would have been also nice. So there's g6 here, and the bishop on e7 is protected by the knight. So we're not really going to take it. We're going to make a check, take back the knight. So piece, we got back our piece. The king is bad and still winning, but maybe not the most convincing.
True.
You could have also captured the knight immediately and played for something like this and attacked the pawn on e6. But once again, it would have been good. But I think what she played was even more convincing, and it's that what we notice, the fact that the queen and the bishop are both working there, that our knight can actually go anywhere. So it chooses to go to
Oh,
e6.
yes, now I see it. I mean,
So
for a second, I even speculated to take on g7 with the queen, but it's only barely not working. I mean, the king can escape,
yeah,
but
that's
wow.
true. Yeah, so the knight could have gone anywhere and chose to win a pawn and a rook. So white is even up material. There's just this huge there's just like this huge diagonal. The bishop is just a best piece, and black tries to counterattack with this rook c2, but already that will be really hard to save. Still, white needed to be a bit careful with her queen, and to not really get it trapped there. It was close, but still the queen got saved.
See, yeah, I didn't even
So
realize, as so often.
yeah, so there's, of course, black will try to counterattack, and at this point, Sophia can win in many ways. And she decided to just keep going for the king. So it's a rook, and it's a rook for a knight and pawn. So maybe if the attack doesn't work, then black can have some chances, but the attack does work. And I really like this her next move, which was queen to h3. So she opened up that file to get access to this h8 square. And he had nothing better to do than to just take that bishop. There is not really a defense on h8 because otherwise we will just capture like that. And this is a really nice line because there is no checks at all, and nowhere that black can really harm white. So at the end, she just had two rooks for the two pieces, and soon enough the opponent resigned. And I mean, we didn't see a checkmate as a finish, but of course it's a very winning position, and it was a really nice attack. And I thought a really typical Sicilian idea, this move with knight d5, which seemingly came out of nowhere and just gave white a winning position and a winning attack.
That's how brutal chess is sometimes, right? You expect nothing. Just imagine you make this move. Okay, what to do next? I guess I place my rook to d8 because what the heck is happening?
It happens in the Sicilian. So I have two more games from the two other sisters. They're all pretty they're all miniatures. So they really, the Polgar sisters were really attacking, as I said, and they often had these really short games against strong players. So this one is from Susan, and it's the oldest sister.
I know.
Yeah. So I've been a fan of hers for a while. I got a chance to participate in her all-girls tournaments that she used to run in the U.S. At Webster University. Mm-hmm. So she was not only an amazing player, but also an amazing coach there, and a role model who has probably done more than anyone for women's chess, because she was one of those first women who was breaking a lot of barriers and gaining her male grandmaster title and all of that. So she had so many games to choose from, and I will show one that I thought was a pretty unique one of hers, but of course there were many others. So this one was also when she was young, when she was maybe 15 or 16. So they really showed their talent really early. So we're going to see a Benoni.
Okay, Benoni. Yeah, we didn't have that often.
Yeah, and it's a game that she played in Hungary. Not really sure about her opponent, but it was still a strong player. And we see the Benoni not too often at the top level, but it's I think it's pretty common at every other level right now. And so do you know some plans in the Benoni?
None.
So
from what I can see for black is that there must be a majority of pieces being on the queen side and pushing forward, I guess. And of course the king meanwhile is safe on g8 with the fianchetto bishop. I assume.
That's the plans for black. That's good. For white, usually you try to stop this pawn advance by playing a4, and so you stop that advance, and then you try to make your space advantage worth it. So white does have a lot of space advantage. So if they get to push something like e5, it's going to be a really good position. If they get to just blockade everything, sometimes even the pieces can come in. So oftentimes black will lack a bit of space, but you also need to be really careful as white, because we know that whenever you do have more space, you also have more things to defend. So it's one of those openings with extra space for white, and then black tries to counterattack it. So white can also try to play it through a4, so they can just right away block that b5 plan, and that's a very common plan in the Benoni, but it didn't happen here because white played just a slightly different line. So white went with
Have
queen.
You ever played the Benoni yourself?
Not as black, but I tried a lot of things against it. Yeah. But it's sometimes surprisingly like it can surprise you, because you think that everything is going well and you have the space, and then you like mess up one thing, and then it can give the opponent the initiative. So it's it's more venomous than you think at first. So here Susan chose the queen a4 line, and the point of that line is that you cannot play b5 because she will take it, and so she plays queen to b3. So we try to gain a bit of time like this way, because now this pawn is under attack. So we force the bishop there, pawn is under attack, and then this pawn is under attack. So it's a good line for white. And now black plays a bit of a mistake. I'm not sure if, once again, maybe it was theory back then, maybe not. But he played the wrong continuation with bishop to g4.
Okay, yeah, I think castling might have been the better choice, right?
But the pawn is hanging.
Maybe they're not.
No, the best choice was probably just to play this way.
Okay.
Which seems passive, but you just keep going. It's kind of like the knight belongs on d7 more, and then to e5. So something like this, defend the d6 first, and then it is passive, so it doesn't look great, but maybe a bit better. So do you think white should take the pawn on b7?
On b7, yeah. Well, looks very tempting. Often it's poisoned. Now what I'm thinking about is, what if white takes on d6 first?
So you want to sacrifice...
Deflect the queen and then take on b7, and then where does the rook go to? Because
that's a good point, but I think it's not necessary to sacrifice your bishop in order to win. Like, I know that your goal is to win the rook, but you can maybe just win it regardless.
Okay, let's try it. So let's take on b7. What happens next? The knight has to go to d7, I guess.
So no, the knight didn't go to d7. I think if it does, then there's just simply bishop taking on d6, as we've said, and now that pawn is not defended, so that pawn seems to always be the problem here. So no, instead, black played bishop to f3.
Oof. Okay, I didn't expect that.
So what about now?
Well, I guess... I see, okay. So I think we should take back the bishop. Because
if we take back...
Yeah?
Yeah, there's the two options, taking back the bishop and taking back the rook. So you think the bishop?
Well, if we take the rook, then the bishop goes back to g4.
Well, that's fine, because we won. We
didn't win material, right? What am I seeing?
Yeah, we won.
What am I not seeing here? So what happens? We can just take the rook, but that cannot be the end of the story. There must be some master plan for black.
Of course, yeah. It's not the end of the story, and we'll look at it because that's what happened in the game. But in case you take the bishop instead, I think it gives black a bit more, like a bit more to play for. So
Okay.
now the bishop has to decide what to do. So you either go away, and now there's no more bishop d6, or you do take on d6 as you mentioned, and then take the rook. And yes, white has material, but queen is a bit stuck. The king doesn't know where to castle yet. The center might get opened up. So I would say that
Yeah,
it's not
unpleasant.
enough compensation yet, but it's something. So black would still have something here to play for.
To be honest, I like I think black's position might be easier to play, even if it wouldn't be much better. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because of the king's safety, that's of course white is a bit lacking there because of the material. So instead, Susan took the rook on a8, and it seems like that's it. The white just won an exchange, but of course black had something to play for and had some tricks. Knight took on e4, so now there's only one clear way that will lead to an advantage. So try to find what Susan found here.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that looks a bit tricky for white here. There must be something truly good. I see now all the dangers falling in here now. So how to do this for white? What could be the best move? Well, how about... Okay, wait, what do we have more? We have one quality more. So, okay, let me do something really crazy. Why do I even mention that? So what about... Okay, I'm wrong, but I think the idea is still funny. Bishop b5 check.
Okay, bishop b5.
Gets probably taken, and then I castle.
Okay, so you want to sacrifice to just castle and get to safety.
But then have the counter to... I mean, black has to react now. Has to take either the bishop away or take on c3. But
I guess let's take on c3, yeah.
If on c3 is taken, I think we can just take... Okay, maybe my plan isn't that good.
No, I see the point in it, but I feel like it just doesn't work out like concretely because black is going to castle next.
That's the problem.
And after black castles, it's not it's not going to work. But no, it's going to, like, this idea will come back later. So
okay.
Surprisingly enough, some parts of it work out.
Some parts, okay.
So, so the real move was rook to c1. So it's actually a defensive move. It's not an attacking move as you would think, but this is the only clear way to keep the advantage, and that's often how you, when you're up material, you need to find these really specific defensive moves.
Nice example. So yes, because I was also looking for a defensive move rather than an attacking move. Funny.
So of course c3 was really under attack here, and in case we took this one, black would take here, and just the king is not looking good. But okay, white would have a decent position, so the king could get into safety here. The rook's developing, so still rook and bishop went for 2 knights, so white is up material, but it's just, once again, it's just a bit more tactical and a bit more dangerous for the white king. So I wouldn't say that was the best. A mistake would be knight to e4, which is also one of the most tempting moves. And it's a mistake because of actually something a bit strange. So this position, you might think is okay, and it's just a rook, and I'm gonna castle next, and everything is good. But if you think about it, white actually doesn't really have that many moves to make. So if you want to castle this way, if you want to castle short, then you have to develop that bishop. But then I'm going to take that pawn, and you're not getting castled anyway. So You need to figure out what happens to your king eventually. And if you castle this way, then you might even lose because of queen to b6.
That's
And
not good.
so that's why this knight e4 move was really dangerous, and there was a lot of room to make a mistake, but Susan found good defensive rook c1 move that just kept everything under control. White still had some threats to fend off, but this rook helped. And at the end of the day, we get this position where both kings are out in the open, but white finished the game in a beautiful way, and it's a move that you found already, but maybe you can find it
again. Bishop to b5 check, or?
Exactly. So bishop to b5, it's your idea there was to get castled, but the idea here is to open up the space for the rook to join the attack, and it's a really nice bishop sacrifice that white will never get back, but they do get this extra tempo, which in attacking positions could decide a lot, this one tempo. So what happens now is that the king has not really that many spaces to go. The bishop h6, king g8, and look how black is up a pawn, but the pieces just never come to life again.
Yeah.
This rook is in the corner forever, and these two pieces have never even developed in their life. So anything
sad.
At this point, anything wins. But what she played is pretty nice, so I'll show you the move. She played rook e7.
I even saw that. Maybe I remember this game from somewhere. I don't know, but it looks super, super... This familiar. Was exactly a move I thought about too.
Yeah, so it's a really nice move, and you cannot take it because queen b8 leads to checkmate. And opponent played bishop d7, and here, well, she finished it nicely. You can try to guess it, but there's a lot of ways.
Okay, let's see. So, can you just take on d7? Yeah.
Yeah, you honestly could.
But there's another way, right?
Actually, I don't know, because I just noticed some like queen h4 checks, and I think that's unpleasant.
Oops.
Okay, you probably escape. You probably escape them pretty easily.
Yeah, but then you take the bishop on h6.
Yeah, okay. It's not that clear, so maybe not rook d7.
Okay, good. Then what about? No, I don't know.
There's one more piece that needs to join our attack.
Then it is knight to e4.
That works
not
too.
Not to b5.
Yeah, so that works too. She played something else, but with a similar idea. So knight to e4, just threatening checkmate. And if the queen takes, we have this really nice tactic that is with a queen sacrifice.
A queen sacrifice checkmate with the fork.
Yeah, look at this checkmate. I think I've never seen something like that before.
That is insane.
In an actual game. Well, to be fair, that didn't happen in the game either. She just sacrificed the queen immediately.
What?
And then played knight to e4.
Oh my goodness, that's so beautiful.
Saying that there's no defense against knight to f6.
That is like your 6 point out of 6 advantage before the last round ends, kind of. Because you make a move, which is a queen sacrifice, which is not like a direct mate, but one more move until it is made. How funny.
Yeah.
Enough time.
So I thought this was a unique game and just a really nice...
Super cool.
Nice attack. And then we have one last game from Judith. Do we have time for it?
Yes, we do have time for it. I hope it's also a short super win, or...
Yeah, it's a short one.
And this time she's the stronger player. How funny.
Yeah. So she was, this was in 2003. Yeah, so she was 2,700 at that point, which is, which is crazy.
It is.
So this will be a miniature too. And, Judith has hundreds of great games, and she was very known for her really aggressive and creative style. And we already saw 3 of her best games in an earlier episode where we did, it was last year on March 8th when we did, it was just an episode on Judith.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to her, you can never run out of great games. So I have a new one from her. And yeah, she was playing in Hungary against another Hungarian grandmaster here.
Yes, also a very good player, Ferenc Berkes.
Yeah,
Had also 2,600 for sure at one point.
yeah. And this is also one of her. It's not the most famous game of hers, but I think it was in her collections of like one of her favorites too.
Okay.
But yeah, I read a lot about their games before, and like there's like they all wrote books, especially Susan and Judith, about their games and about their sisters. So I've read a lot of them, and it's there's so many to learn from. So it started with the French, and Judith was white. I know I chose all the games where they were white,
Doesn't matter.
but I mean that's where they end. They end the nicest and the quickest.
Yes.
Whenever they're playing as white.
We forgive you, Svetlana.
Yeah. So it was the French main line. Knight of 6 now.
Seen this one before.
Yeah. So she played bishop to g5. This is also the main move.
Yes.
But there's also just closing the center immediately with e5. This is also common, but bishop g5 is again one of the main moves. So now, in the French, you often see like really closed structures, and it could have it could have occurred here too. For example, if Black goes for one of these like main lines with bishop e7, and then we just close the center like this, it leads to these structures, these very typical where White has space, but then Black tries to counterattack it. This bishop is bad. So all of these typical French lines. Instead, Black took on e4, also one of the very popular lines, but this is a bit different from the other French lines. So there's these closed French positions, and then there's these really open ones. So here it's just a bit of a different type of game.
Mm-hmm.
White
Mistakes.
took, so gained the bishop pair, but
not many pieces left. Well, okay. Well,
it's just there was only one trade made, so not.
It felt like there's hardly pieces left because there's none developed yet.
Yeah, no, but it was just one trade. It's not that huge of a trade. And Judith goes for an opposite side castling plan. Mm-hmm. So she plays queen here to castle long. She's always trying to find ways to attack. She was really known for that. Long castle. Bishop d3, so already preparing some pieces to go on the king side. Opponent played b6 to develop the bishop. Knight to g5 right away, already looking at the targets on the king side. And opponent played h6. Mm-hmm. So now my question for you is, how do you continue the attack?
Great question. Well, you have to play h4, obviously.
I thought you would say that. When I looked at this position, I right away, like when I was like preparing this game, I right away like I knew you would say h4, and it's pretty good here. I like it. So it's a very typical move, and it works in the sacrifice. So I think it would be bad for Black to take it because we're going to capture and then just open up the h file with just really big threats. There's a bit of a nuance that after f5 you need to find queen to e3 to attack the pawn. Mm-hmm. And then White is all set and has a winning position. So
great.
h4 would have been good. Black doesn't have to take, so probably that would have happened, but it would have still been good. So I like h4. It was one of the good moves. But Susan played something different. So I don't know if anybody found this bishop h7. So this is a check, and it looks a bit shaky that both of these pieces are hanging now. So what's going to happen to all of them? And the answer is she's going to play bishop to e4. So she uses that b6 move to first give a check and then come back.
Okay.
To attack the rook.
Yes.
So Black takes here on g5. And my question now is, do you take the rook?
Well, if you're asking me like this, yeah.
Well, last time I asked you pawn to b7, and the answer was yes. So I was trying to be.
There must be something better. There must be something better. But what can it be? What could it be? Because it doesn't seem that there is so many better moves right now.
Yeah. So you're right that there's something better, but that move is not easy.
Let's see. If you takes f4, no, that doesn't.
So should I show you what happens if the bishop does take then?
Yeah, that would be nice.
So if the bishop does take here on a8, which looks normal, but actually it loses for white because there's g4.
Goodness.
And the bishop, and there's both the attack on the knight and the bishop to g5, which pins the queen.
Yeah.
So
Passant wins actually like this. Then yeah, funny.
So you have to defend one of them, and it's 2 pieces for the rook. So black has the 2 pieces for the rook, which is not really something that we wanted.
No, you can
at all.
Yeah.
So there. That's black's idea.
Okay, so how do we look? We have to get a checkmate plan, but I want to know how we can do this because taking on g5 is funky, but it takes too long. What about... Oh, this is such a nice puzzle. Why don't I find it? Have you found it at home? Okay, I don't want to delay the show too long. What is the solution?
The solution is g4. So based on that previous idea, you protect against the opponent's main plan and play g4. It has a lot of purposes. So one of them was to stop that g4. The other one is to play h4. So we did that to block this pawn completely so that we can open up the h file. And well, the attack still stays on the rook, so it's not going to go anywhere. Okay, no, it will, because black did play rook b, so the rook did go away. But the attack will now start instead of the rook.
So now h4 has to happen, right?
Exactly. So I really like this g4 move.
It's
because
amazing, yeah.
It was a nice way to continue. Probably the only way too. So in case of now, if black were to take here, we would play g5, and then the rook will invade, and there will be no protection on h4. So at this point, it's already really pleasant to play, but it's not over. So black protected with king to g7, and here also an important moment of the attack. There's only one way to win, too.
Well,
so there's.
I assume we have to get the queen.